Nothing?
So,
What are you guys doing? Nothing. Come on, I didn't pay you guys to play lead hockey. We got a brand new boat inside. We got a huge install we got to do. So let's go inside and let's get it going.
this all going on that boat?
Yeah.
What's the plan with this? There's so much stuff.
Well, she kind of left it up to us. I think the Talons have to go on the back, obviously,
That
right?
makes sense. That makes
Makes
sense.
that easier. Probably put the trolling motor in the front.
Control motor should go on the front. That's cool.
But what do we do with the graphs?
What does she want?
Well, she specifically said she's shorter, so she wants to be able to see over everything.
Okay.
So I'm thinking we for sure got to put 10 on the dash. That makes the most sense.
All right. Well, I see she's got live scope and 360, so 2 units on the front at least, yeah?
Yep, and then maybe just 1 on the dash and 3 on the front. That way she's got a unit that she can split for mapping and sonar too.
Cool. Well,
Let's dig into it. First thing we do when we get a boat in is we like to lay out everything that we're going to be installing on the boat, just so we can kind of get an idea as to what's going on the boat, visualize what's going where, get everything covered if it needs to be covered, start taking compartments apart, start taking panels off, kind of get the boat open so we can see where we got to run wires and where we're going to start putting everything. Trolling motor always gets mounted on the left side of the boat. That way when you're sitting on the right side, where you drive most boats from, you have a clear line of sight off of your side of the boat to see what's in front of the boat and what's around you. So right now we're checking, we've got the triple graph mount just mocked up right now. I just want to make sure that we have good clearance on the trolling motor. You know, you can only do so much with trolling motor mount. You don't want to have the head sticking way out here on the side, and you want to try to keep it in level with the center line of the boat as much as possible. So this has some slides in it, so I can move these graphs around. I just want to make sure before we bolt the trolling motor down, we drill the holes in the boat, that the trolling motor is right where it needs to be. Right now I'm installing the 360 bracket on this. Something to keep in mind if you've got a Quest, there's a different 360 bracket. We got the Quest installed. We ran into a little bit of an issue with this piece right here. This is only on Lund boats. Basically what was happening is it was causing the mount to kind of kick over. Trolling motor placement is really key on a boat. You want to put the trolling motor as close to the center line as the boat as you possibly can, but you don't want when the trolling motor is stowed to be hanging off in either direction. On this boat, we had to kind of fight an aluminum piece on the bow and where we could get all 6 bolts in from underneath. So we just flipped the trolling motor head. The Quest has an auto orientation stow mode. That way we got the trolling motor exactly where we wanted it. Everything's working flawlessly and it's in the perfect position. When you're putting your live scope transducer on the trolling motor, it's really important to use electrical tape to attach it to the shaft. I've seen instances where guys have used zip ties and then it gets hung on something and the zip tie doesn't have any give. You know, hopefully the zip tie breaks, but a lot of times it'll actually cut the transducer cord. So what we do is we just use simple electrical tape And then if you're putting your transducer in a way that it's gonna have to be running over any sharp objects or anything like that, or if you just wanna give it the layer of protection, we use a marine loom over it, and basically that just adds another layer of protecting your transducer cord.
Here we're pulling the wire for all the graphs up front and on the dash. We run 10 gauge to each individual unit.
And this boat, we opted to put the electronics battery in the rod box. This system was running a single 36 volt battery. There's room for 3 batteries in the rod box. So we opted to put the battery in the middle of the boat. Now doing that, we had to be careful not to run our electronics wires with our trolling motor wires, so we didn't have any cross interference or any RF or anything like that. But luckily this boat was designed in a way that we could get all of our electronics wires in there and away from the trolling motor wires. And it just kind of kept us from having to put the battery super far away from the bow graphs. The closer you keep the battery to the graphs, you know, even using heavy gauge wire, it's just all around better for your voltage loss and your picture quality.
We just got done running our power from the rod locker to the dash. One is gonna stay here and we're running 4 up to the front. Obviously there's a lot more units up front, a lot more power that needs to be, a lot more units that need to be powered. We only run the best marine wire. A lot of people try to do it any other way, but this is the right way, this is by the book. And this is to ensure that the units get the proper power and that there's nothing that can go wrong, and it's the safest.
Show you guys the biggest trade secret. I still am not 100% sure where these come from, but they are an automatic zip tie gun, so you don't over tighten your zip ties and mess up your cords. All you do is squeeze the trigger, tightens them and cuts them flush. It's nice to have the right tools for the job. So we're just getting some stuff wired up here. I want to show you guys something so everyone thinks like, oh, I bought a new boat, I'm just gonna have the dealership rig it. Here's the power that Lund gives you. It's about enough for maybe just the 360. This is the power that she needs to have up here, minimum, to run everything. So don't use what's in the boat. Make sure you're running good wire, otherwise you're gonna spend all that money on your electronics and get nothing out of them. Another thing we like to do in our installations when we can is use the nylon split looming. I have a love-hate relationship with that stuff. If you have it running in an area that's like exposed in the boat, it seems like it just attracts fish hooks like crazy. But in this installation, all the graphs are mounted on top of where all the looming was gonna go. It's a perfect time to use that. Basically what this stuff does is it keeps your wires close together, it keeps everything organized. If you have to pull graphs off to go into a hotel or something like that, all of your wires stay close together. You can figure out exactly where everything goes. It just makes the install overall look a lot cleaner. All these graphs are networked together through a network hub. That means whatever she wants to share from which graph is going to share. Waypoints, transducers, anything. It's very important to have all of your graph network. That way your waypoints will transfer. So if you're driving around scanning at the console and you mark a waypoint and you go up to the front to fish, it's there. If you find a hot spot when you're fishing and you mark it on the bow and you're coming back to it the next day, it's on your console graph. So make sure you always try to network your graphs together so that way you can get the most out of them. Okay, now that I have all these connected like this, I can hook up all of the units and I can figure out from there what I need for slack in here. And then I put some temporary zip ties on stuff just to kind of keep the mess contained while I was pulling everything through, and I can cut these back off. Now, I can go through and I can really clean all this up. Even though it's gonna get covered up, it's still nice to have this clean in case anybody has to go in there and change anything. You don't have wires rubbing up against each other or anything like that. You know, just makes it really nice for the customer when everything is cleaned up. There's a lot of weight going on that bow panel. When we got the panel from the manufacturer, it came with screws. That's what the boat manufacturer uses to put the bow panels on that boat. Unfortunately, I didn't think screws are gonna be good enough. So as much of a pain as it was, we opted to drill the holes out a little bit bigger and move to a bolt with a nut and a big fender washer underneath. That way that panel is never coming off in any kind of rough water. So on this boat, it doesn't have any kind of jack plate on it. So to mount Talons on, we're gonna use a sandwich bracket, which goes in between the transom and your engine. So we're gonna have to pull the engine off, get those sandwich brackets in there, that way we can get the Talons mounted up. So right now we're getting ready to take the motor off. No jack plate on this boat, but we're putting Talons on. So we need to run sandwich brackets. So with that, I'm gonna take the engine off. So we just got done rigging this beast up. I'm gonna show you what we did to it. So starting in the back, we did 2 Minn Kota 10-foot Talons on sandwich brackets. Don't need a jack plate to put Talons on your boat, just use the sandwich brackets. Coming up here, we got a single Helix 10. Nothing wrong with that, plain and simple. In the rod box here, we got a 12-volt 100-amp-hour lithium battery and a 50-amp-hour 36-volt lithium battery running here. Let's go to the front, that's where all the fun's happening. So up here, we got a 10-inch Garmin GPS map unit running a live scope. We have a Helix 12 up here running a 360, and then we have a Helix 10 here for the mapping. Now the beast on this thing is the new Minn Kota Quest Ultrex. This motor is awesome, let me tell you. Super robust, super fast, super quiet, super smooth, and the best part is everything links to the graph. You have real-time battery monitoring, you've got eco mode. You can't even get stuff like that in a car anymore. 360 on the trolling motor. We got the live scope on the trolling motor barrel. We got maximum clearance to bring the trolling motor up and down for when you're snatching those shallow hogs. Triple stack BBT mount, keeping everything legit. Everything's nice and neat with this mount. Awesome mount. Don't think that you could really do anything better up here. Had to do a little bit of custom work to get all the stuff in the front of the boat, but that's what we do here. There isn't a job that's too big for us. So yeah, she was a beast of an install. Just cranked it out. It is 10 o'clock on a Friday night. That's how we do it around here. We got to make it happen. If you want an install done like this, or something a little less spicy, or maybe something a little more spicy, give us a call, shoot us a message. You can shoot us an email, but I'd rather you give us a call, or just stop in and see what we got going on. Thanks, guys.